Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about the core of the Jets' interior defensive line and how it's actually pretty elite. But before we get started today, I just want to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, you could also call in to the podcast, leave me your voicemail, and I'll try to get to it on the show. So oftentimes I'm called too negative, and I get it. I personally feel like I am just trying to take what I see and regurgitate that back out to you in the fans' perspective through my lens. And with the Jets being a team that hasn't had a winning record in the last 5 years, I would say that most of it does tend to skew towards the negative side, but I wanted to talk about something positive and something that you should absolutely be excited about going into the 2021 season and beyond, which is the Jets' core of their defensive line. Now, I'm not talking about Henry Anderson, who should be cut after that albatross contract that was gifted to him after the 2018 season. I'm talking about Quinnen Williams, Foley Fatukasi, and John Franklin Myers. Those three are a really good young core to build around. And another good thing is these guys are cheap. John Franklin Myers is not making a ton of money. Foley Fatukasi is not making a ton of money. And Quinnen Williams on his rookie deal isn't making a ton of money. Eventually, he is going to have to get paid. But as of right now, it seems like it is absolutely worth it to pay a guy like Quinnen Williams. So let's start with Quinnen, who really took a solid leap in year two after a up and down, inconsistent rookie season. He is 15th ranked interior defensive lineman by Pro Football Focus. His grade is in 81.4 for the season. And in pass rush, he is the 17th graded interior defensive lineman in terms of getting after the passer. 7 sacks and 55 tackles in 13 games. If you just watch, and even with the eye test, you don't even have to look at the advanced analytics. And in it, he is making an impact on a week-to-week basis. He is getting after the quarterback. He is getting those pressures, and he is really, really good in the run game as well, which can't be discredited because the Jets' run defense started out really bad early on in the year, has gotten significantly better. And if you look at this win against the Browns from this past week, a big reason for that win is because the Jets were able to dominate in the run game. Yes, Baker had to throw 50-plus times, but I know Kevin Stefanski was getting killed for throwing 50-plus times with Baker Mayfield, but the Jets were just swallowing up the run game, and they really have in the second half of this year. And a big reason for that is these guys specifically, but Quinnen Williams being so young and being a piece to build around on that defense is huge for this team. He is probably the quote-unquote star of the defense now with Jamal Adams gone, which is completely fine. And it's not just him. Like, there are other guys. Fatukasi and Franklin Myers probably don't get the love because they weren't picked as high, and frankly, they're just not as good, but they are really solid players as well to go along with him. And we'll get into Foley Fatukasi next. Fatukasi is the 14th ranked interior defensive lineman by Pro Football Focus with the 81.5 grade. Against the run, he is the best. He comes in at number 1, yes, ahead of Aaron Donald, who is number 2, with an 88 grade. He has 2 sacks and 41 tackles in a rotational role. This kid is good, especially against the run. He just swallows up the run. He has taken a step. He flashed it last year. He has gotten even better this year. The guy is legit. He came, like I said, he came on strong in the second half of last year. This is a really good find. I believe he was a 6th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Great find from the New York Jets here. He is solid and absolutely someone who should be getting more playing time going forward. Like I said, he's more of a rotational guy. But if you think about a stout interior defensive lineman, a defensive tackle, and a 3-4, Fatukasi's that guy. He's basically playing at a pace of Snacks Harrison when he was here. And Fatukasi is probably leans a little bit more towards the run than what Snacks Harrison did. Yes, Snacks was definitely a great run stuffer, but this guy is just, he's been unbelievable for the New York Jets. And when you look at the future, he is also young. He's 25 years old. This is someone that you could absolutely build your defensive unit around. And that leaves us with John Franklin Myers, who is the 32nd ranked interior defensive lineman by Pro Football Focus, a 72.7 grade, 15th in pass rush grade at a 78.7. He has 3 sacks, 13 quarterback hits, all in just 44% of the defensive snaps. So he's playing less than half of the snaps this year and is still putting up really, really good numbers. He is definitely someone that needs to get more playing time. next year. And that's just the thing. Like, these three guys is a great start to a front seven. Yes, it needs help. It's not just done there, but if you want to look at these guys, we'll pull up the numbers from Michael Nania, who's the Jets stat guy. Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers are one of three interior defensive line duos with 35 plus pressures each. Quinnen and Fatukasi are one of only two interior defensive line duos with 20 plus run stuffs each. That's incredible. It doesn't really get much better than that. You could make the case that this is a top three defensive line unit based on those numbers alone. And yes, like I said, that needs work. You desperately need an edge presence on this team. But you can find that in the draft or in free agency this year. You can go out and sign a Matt Judon. You can go out and maybe sign a Bud Dupree. Yes, he's coming off an injury, but you could sign a guy like that. Or in the draft, the likelihood of the Jets trading Sam Darnold and getting another second-round pick in here is probably pretty good. So that's going to be, 6 swings in the first 3 rounds of this draft. You could absolutely use one of those picks on an edge, maybe like a Patrick Jones out of Pittsburgh. I really like him. And then you just add another element to this defense. Like, yes, on paper right now, the Jets need a ton of work, especially in the secondary, and the linebackers have been okay, but CJ Mosley's coming back next year. You could probably bring Neville Hewitt back as well, and maybe Patrick Onwuasor for relatively cheap to spell CJ Mosley. You could bring back Marcus May. You could have Bryce Hall, who I think's played well on one side on corner. You could address the other corner again in the draft with one of your 6 swings in the first 3 rounds, and in free agency, and maybe bring back Brian Poole. And then if you just add to the edge, we're starting to get something here. No, this isn't a built defense overnight. It still needs work, of course, but to think that the Jets are hopeless on the defensive side of the ball is completely not true. The interior, especially of the defensive line, and we're not even talking, like I said earlier, Henry Anderson, who's he's going to be cut after this year. It just makes no sense to keep him around and give him playing time over any of these 3 guys. It's a really, really good unit. And if you add that speed on the edge, that could just make everything so much different for this team. It could allow you to have a weaker secondary because the amount of pressure you'd be getting after the quarterback would be tremendous. And the run game, while it's not nearly as important as what it once was, taking away an opponent's ability to run the football is probably a pretty good thing as well. So let me know what you think of this unit down below in the comments. Again, it's something that I'm really excited about when I look at this team going forward. You have Mekhi Becton, should be a really, really good left tackle for a long time. Excited about Denzel Mims on the defensive side of the ball. I would love to bring Marcus May back. I think he's been really, really good for this team. And if you look at this defensive line, it's very, very good. It's all about how you build around it. Mike McCagnon was not able to build around it. John Idzik was not able to build around it. Mike Tannenbaum, not able to build around it. The Jets have been drafting defensive linemen for the last decade, but now they have their top 3 pick. They have their depth guys in John Franklin Myers and Fatukasi. I trust this guy, Joe Douglas, to build around it, and this could be a really good defense. So I'm excited about it. Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.